Yo, Alpha, what's up? So now we're going to continue from where we stopped. And what I want to show you next, now that I've showed you a lot of things, including how to use the objects slash the layer panel in your coreldraw, which is that one that I just removed just now. The next thing I want to show you today is how you can create special effects. So let's get to it. So I'm just going to create a new, you can create new document so that we can start on what we are doing. I'm going to draw a box. It doesn't really matter whether I draw a box, a circle, or whatever. This is what we are going to be using to create special effects. And there are multiple ways to create special effects. You can create special effects on an object that you can edit. And you can also create special effects using this bitmap and effects panel. Right? So for now, the first thing we want to show now, you can create, I showed you how to use blend. Now we are going to use all these tools here to create various special effects in a design. Alright, so let's begin with adding a drop shadow. So let's say I've created a design like this, right? You already should know how to do this. So I use shift page not to bring it to the back, and then let's say I have something like this here, just sitting here. Alright, so let's just say I have something here sitting like this, and then let me give this one gray. I just highlight all of them and remove the outline. Then what I want to do next is I want to add a shadow. I want to add shadow to it. So let me put shadow here so that it looks as though this guy is kind of raised. So after putting the shadow, I can come here to adjust how the shadow looks. Yeah, this one are feathery. Alright, so I can finish it up and then I can leave every other setting okay. And then I'll go to object and then I can break shadow apart. Right? The break shadow apart will allow me to move just the shadow. Right? So I can choose to shrink it like this. I can choose to shrink it and give it like it's kind of looking interesting right now. It's looking like, wait a minute, I'm seeing something. It's looking like, it's looking like it's looking like a switch. It's looking like a switch. I could literally take this one here, make I just bring this one down, make I show you exactly what I see. Right. So control flip from up to down. Control Z. Let's do that again. Control flip, right click to duplicate. Right. So let me push this one up. This is what I was this is what I was saying. This is what I was saying. Like a switch, off button, on button, off button, on button. And then you just have this little stuff on right here. And you can just start creating from there all of a sudden. So basically that's how I had a drop shadow. What do we have next? Mind you, drop shadow can be both inside and outside. So this one is an outside drop shadow. How about an inside drop shadow? This is the inside drop shadow, right? So you can have an inside drop shadow. Preset is the ones that you've done before, right? So you can have an inside drop shadow, which is this one. And if we drag it, it stays on the inside of, it will be on the inside of the stuff. So it's like this. This is it now. So if you choose to select the shadow, for instance, you will not be able to select it the way you did this one, right? Until you go back and select the tool again, you discover that your shadow tool is active on that one. And what you can do is that you can go to object and you can now decide to like select the shadow thing, Ctrl Z, and then you can break it apart, right? Break inner shadow apart. So by breaking the inner shadow apart, you get it now. You can now remove it and edit it to whatever you like. So shadow is inside and outside, right? So just mess around with it and have fun. So this is a shadow. I'm going to group this and leave this on this side. Then I'm going to duplicate this stuff here. I want to get rid of the shadows. So now that we've dealt with shadow, the next is to use contour. What does contour do? Contour creates a replica of that particular object that you selected. There's not too much work on pictures, but it will work on objects. So if you select the outline for you, we select the fill, right? And if you decide how many steps to go. So that's contour. Contour creates a blend. So I can choose to keep going, or I can choose to keep going, but this one has reached its limit, right? Right? So this one has reached its limit, and we can decide that we want to put it on the inside, we want to put it to the center, or we want to put it to outside. So choose whatever settings that you want and mess around with, play with your contour. Alright, so this is contour, and I can reduce it, can reduce the number. So this is contour special effects. You can also break this apart. When you break contour apart, you now have multiple images that be lined up. All you have to do is now ungroup them, and you can select them individually and apply color to them. Anyhow you choose, you can do it. You can do whatever you feel like. It's so easy to do these things in coreldraw. Whatever you feel like you can do, you can do it. Let me tell you. So you get, this is coreldraw. So now that we're done with that, I'm going to go over here, object again. I'm going to break the contour apart. I'm going to ungroup it. In fact, let me just delete everything here and break the shadow back again. Alright. So the reason why I'm breaking that contour apart is so that whatever I do doesn't affect all of them. I want to treat the various layers now as differently. So let's say you wanted to create an outline of this thing, and you don't want to just go and use that outline. You can also use contour to create an object aside of that particular image, and contour is going to blend it for you. It's going to make it very nice for you to deal with. I've used contour a lot of times, and that's really helped my project. Right? So play with contour, play with contour. I've explained blend to you. The next will be distort. Now, distort will warp the shape, right? This is a list of settings here that you can use in playing with the warp tool, right? So if I select this one, if I select this one, you see what happens? This one creates a wave. That's what this one does. This one, on the other hand, this is now. On the other hand, this one does this, and then this one, we just warp it. And you see, by moving from one level to another, I'm able to create various forms of shape by using all these things. And this is how you create special effects here. Right? I'm going to have to delete that one now because that one has been destroyed now. I've destroyed it. But let's want to start pressing Ctrl Z and bringing it back again. It's easier for me to just draw a new one so that we can continue from there. Alright, so now we have dealt with the distortion tool, which is distortion tool. The next is envelope tool. Right, so the envelope tool is used to adjust various points of that shape, right? So you can use it to adjust various points of that shape to determine what you want to do. I believe you can also use it to add colors. Yes, you can, because you are still dealing with, you are still very much dealing with nodes and an object. Alright, then press Ctrl Z here, and then just select putty. Alright, so go back here, go back to the pick tool, and I will show you something interesting that you can do with the text. So we are using artistic text tool, for example. I'm just going to type some couple of stuff. By the time we are done typing that stuff, you can use envelope tool to actually bend. Shift F2, F3. You can use envelope tool to bend text inside. You see what I mean? You can bend your artistic test. You can bend it. You can do whatever you want using this. Right? So this is what I've been able to create. What I've been able to create. This is what I've been able to create using the envelope tool. Next on our list is the extrude tool. There's this one that we use in creating 3D extrusion. So for example, if you draw an object, you select an object and you drag it to this side, it will create an extrusion. What you can come and do in that extrusion is to come and adjust the color here. Right? So, so let me adjust this one. So that being said, we've been able to create this extrusion. Right? So I can add an outline to it and we just have this extrusion that we are working with. And basically this is how you create your 3D. So you can just continue from here, add the outline and then start adding those extra effects that make for a 3D to become realistic. So how can you add those ones? It's simple. You can just start, you can take your pen tool. For me, I will start drawing my shades and my the tint and the tones, which is the light part of what makes a 3D 3D. What makes 3D 3D is actually light, plastic, and shadows. You understand? So light, plastic, and shadows. So if you can make those, if you can make the shadows and the lights appear well, you will have created your 3D effect. Right? There are other videos where you show how to create 3D text or even 3D objects. But then you can practice and you can learn. And I want you to experiment using all these tools. Alright? So do that. So that's the extrusion tool. Then the next is the block shadow tool. The block shadow tool basically works like the extrusion tool. However, the only difference is that it's creating a shadow, but the shadow is an object in itself. So let's say we have an object here and I pick the block extrusion tool. Block shadow, sorry. I will be creating a shadow, but the shadow is an object. That's just what it means. I'm creating a shadow, but the shadow is an object. And this helps me create kind of like a blending. I've used this many times in my design where after I finish doing this, I'm going to break this apart, right? And then I'm going to intersect this, right? So after intersecting this, I can shade. I'm holding control now and just clicking on shaded color. So I have this effect. So you can see the 3D effect already from this design. Just by using that block shadow, I'm able to create this. I can also do this one to this side. So that's just that for that. So I want you to experiment and I want you to build. The most important thing is building your design mind. When you are able to build your mind for design, there are some things that you just think and see. You just want to like make it happen instantly. Instantly you see it and you recognize that, oh, this thing is something that I can. Exactly. That is just how a creative mind works. You see the opportunity and you see the concept that the team is creating and you're like, whoa, let me just continue here and let me just complete it and see what it looks like in the long run. So now that this is here, I'm feeling like I should even just add a shadow to this thing itself. Let me add a shadow. Okay, drop down shadow. Right. So I want to put it here. I want to put it here. Then Control K to break drop shadow apart. I did not break this extrusion apart. It's why it's giving me issues now. You see now. So because I didn't break this one apart now, it's not giving us issues. So let's go and break it apart. We're going to break the extrusion apart. And then I will go to push the shadow behind. Control push. I want to push it behind. And I'm going to fix it. I want to fix it in such a way. I don't see it. Yes. This life that I have is the life of God in me. Alright, so we have this, and I could continue to do it. And you're just seeing the extra, you're seeing everything. You're seeing everything. So I'm already starting to create some kind of 3D something here, but let's leave that and let's continue with our video. So we've been able to use everything here to create advanced effects. So this one is already transparency too. You already know how to use transparency too. I've showed you how to use transparency too. If you don't know how to use transparency too, let me just give you a little. It's basically anything that you pick. You can choose to fade it in, or you can choose to fade one side in using linear, right? And then you can choose a radial fade. You know, it will give you some kind of a blurred edges. It will give you some kind of blurred edges, right, to deal with it. Meanwhile, it's very possible for you to change the color because you are still dealing with an object. Just that I use transparency to fade round it. I faded. I use transparency to fade the surrounding, thereby making it transparent on the outside and looking like light. Meanwhile, it's not light. You can also use transparency again to even change the look of. It's kind of like it's blending mode. It's called blending mode. So let me call it blending mode because I just changed that to overlay now, and we can have a mix of color in one. Let me give this red. Right, so you see now the colors are merging together, and you cannot even tell that this thing is actually a box or a circle that I draw here. You get the point. So that's how you do it. What other advanced effects can you create? Well, there are more. Let's go to effects, for instance. Let's go to 3D, and let's go to okay, let's not go there. Let's go to blur. Right? Further Gaussian blur. You can use Gaussian blur. You see what look at what happens in your design. This is what Gaussian blur can do for you. Right? So Gaussian blur can blur the entire image, but it can also give you that form of effect that looks like a shadow. What else can you do? You can go to creative and you can start playing around with frames, play around with basically anything that you can see. And if you like it, it's something that you may want to try and use again in your design later on. So you can use sharpening for images, you can use noise, right? Look at all this photo cocktail, lens, pointillizer. Although all those are going to bring you a drop down menu on this side that you use to create some special functions. Is it possible to emboss? Is it possible to use those wonderful looking stuff in coreldraw? Yes, very possible. I want you to come to Windows, come to this Dockers, right? You see this effect. Everything here is what we saw just now. So if you go to effect, you see artistic bevel blend. That's what we saw just now. You see this bevel. See this bevel. This bevel you can use to create extra effect if you even want. So let me give this one emboss, right? And then I want to apply the emboss. Okay, this show. Let's change the color. See, I think it's because it's white. Let's apply. See, you notice it around the edges, yeah. Control plus. You see it. You notice it around the edges. So my friend, I want you to experiment, go around and try to use this thing back and forth. Look at people's designs, come back again to coreldraw and experiment. Experiment. You can play with these settings here. These are not compulsory. You can play with settings, you can change the color, you can adjust the distance, you can set it between soft edge and emboss. Are there other effects that you can also use? Of course, there's a ton of them that I'm not showing you right now. That only if you go ahead and begin to work with coreldraw more often, you can decide to come across and use all these things, and then you record them through experience. You can use them again and again and again and again. And that's it for advanced effects in coreldraw. Right. The next thing you will have to learn now is how to deal with color management. Look, color management is just, it's you determining the set of colors or the style and the number of colors that you are going to deal with in your design. You don't want to complicate color theory. You don't want to use too many colors that don't work together. I showed you a trick in previous videos where I would click on one color and hold. So left click on the color and hold. It will now bring that this entire palette, and this palette now carries shades that are very close to each other. I think colors that are close to each other, is it analogous or something like that? We have complementary colors, we have analogous colors, and there are other kind of colors that are also going to show you maybe in the next video or maybe not. But it's your assignment to learn how to use colors. You don't use colors anyhow. You don't want to be somebody or a designer who is known for using one color in his design. No, you also want to be somebody who is very versatile, and at the same time you want to be somebody who knows how to blend colors very well. You don't use colors anyhow, and you don't put colors that don't work together on the screen. Right? So that's that. I want you to make sure that whenever you are doing a design, you are not planning to use many colors. No, you can use one shade of a color. For example, everything here is similar to using blue, and I can just make an entire design using colors that are mismatched from inside this entire shade. You get, and that will save you a lot. So do that and stay blessed.